Archaeology is all around us, sometimes hiding just beneath our feet. Secrets of people who lived in the past lie waiting for us to find them. Have you ever wondered what archaeology lies beneath your feet? Recently, archaeologists from Headland Archaeology have been working across Norfolk to explore parts of its hidden history. The project we have been working on is a new offshore wind farm being developed by Vattenfall, one of the biggest wind developers in Europe, who are working to make sure we can live without fossil fuels in the future. The new wind farm will be built so far out at sea that you won't even be able to see the turbines from the seaside. That's because the wind is stronger way out at sea and blows hard almost all of the time. But how can plans to build a wind farm out at sea tell us about the archaeology hidden beneath our feet in the fields around our homes? To bring the electricity to our homes and businesses from the wind farm, cables will be laid underground along a route from the coast at Haysborough across the county to a National Grid substation near Necton, where it will then be distributed across the country to power the equivalent of almost 4 million homes. Before construction can begin, Vattenfall need to carry out all kinds of research to ensure they are protecting the environment, and this includes archaeology. It is our job at Headland to make sure the archaeology along the route is carefully excavated and recorded so we can preserve information these sites contain about what Norfolk was like in the past. An archaeologist is someone who studies the history of people by looking at objects and evidence that people leave behind. Archaeologists can often tell what used to exist on a site by looking at changes in the colour, texture and makeup of the soil. These can often look like shapes that we call features, and by studying these and analysing the soil and artefacts contained inside them, archaeologists can start to understand what used to exist there and when. Today, we're going to have a look at what's going on one of our sites. The site we're going to look at is located on Whimpwell Street, just south of Haysborough, which is right on the edge of Norfolk's coastline. The site is called Archex 1A. And archaeologists from Headland Archaeology have been hard at work excavating some features here that might be able to tell us a little about the people who used to live in this part of Norfolk. Let's check in with the archaeologists and see what they found.
I'm currently recording and drawing a feature. So this is a slot with 2 ditches in it. And I'm drawing the section to see where one ditch is cutting the other, and then I am using this paper to record what I see.
Archaeologists make detailed drawings and written records about the features they are excavating to help them interpret what the features might have been used for. This can help them to understand what buildings and structures once existed on site and what they might have looked like, as well as providing clues about activities that might have taken place there. This feature is not just visible as a change in the soil, but instead consists of many stones, grouped together in a line and held together by mortar. It possibly represents the remains of a surface or even a small wall. The archaeologists have excavated some of the soil away in a thin strip. This is called digging a slot, and this can help them to understand how the feature was put together and if there's anything underneath it. This feature also has stones in it, but they only appear around the edges. That's because this is the remains of an old well for collecting water from the ground. The stones are there to hold the shape of the well, as when it was in use, the soil inside it that we can see now wouldn't have been there. If it was, people wouldn't have been able to access the water at the bottom. The soil inside has built up or been dumped in when people weren't using the well anymore. If there are objects or artifacts inside this soil, they can help the archaeologists to find out a date when people stopped using the well. I wonder if the archaeologists have found artifacts anywhere else on site.
Yes, my name is Alexis, I'm a team leader with Headland Archaeology. I was very fortunate to excavate here in Norfolk. So let's go to the finds. We found animal bone here, possibly a part of a long bow, quite degraded due to taphonomic conditions, so the way the bone is preserved in the ground. We found this brick, which seems an ordinary brick, but if you can see here, you can see a paw of an animal, which is quite interesting. Just imagine a dog running on the freshly baked bricks. Also, we found this, what we call as the diagnostic piece of a cup or a jar. I will assume from the glaze you can see here that this could have been post-medieval, so it can give us an accurate dating.
Finds like these can help archaeologists to understand how people lived in the past. By looking at these objects, we can see what kind of things people might have used in their everyday lives. The archaeologists working at ArcX-1A have discovered artifacts dating from the medieval and post-medieval periods on site, as well as a series of ditches, pits and structures that suggest we may have the backyards of houses that once existed along Whimpwell Street hundreds of years ago. Village backyards in the medieval period looked a lot different to our backyards today. They were called plots or tofts and were formed of long strips of land leading back from the houses on the street. Instead of yards for children to play in, they were used to grow vegetables and small crops, house small animal pens for livestock, and many also contained small workshops for craftsmen to make objects. These would provide useful food and items for the home, as well as allowing people to sell the food they grew or the objects they made at the market to make money. You can see examples of these plots in this map of Jedburgh in Scotland, where the plot boundaries can still be seen, although the animal pens, crops and workshops have now mostly made way for gardens similar to our own. We know there was a medieval settlement called Whimpwell near Haysborough because it was mentioned in a book written nearly 1,000 years ago. Although now the town has disappeared and been replaced by fields, it is possible that the features and artifacts we have found on site may be part of this lost medieval town.